This is GamesAtWork.biz, your weekly podcast about gaming, technology, and play. Your hosts are Michael Martin, Andy Piper, and Michael Rowe. The thoughts and opinions on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests alone and are not the opinions of any organization which they have been, are, or may be affiliated with. This is episode 533, Rings of Power. Hello and welcome again to GamesAtWork.biz. My name is Andy Piper and this is your weekly technology podcast. I am back after a number of weeks away from the microphone. So let's see if I can remember how any of this works. I very rarely know how anything works, so this could be entertaining. I've got my two buddies, Michael Rowe and Michael Martin, here as well. Michael Rowe, how are you?
Hi, Andy. I'm so glad you are back. I am well, and I also don't know what works or what doesn't work or how things work, which is why I'll hand it off to Michael Martin. Michael, how are you?
You guys are setting me up for a great opportunity right here. I'm not sure how all things work either, but we're going to start this episode with a really cool ring that we can imagine how it's going to work. Apparently, this ring, 400 years old, great little post on Mastodon about it, to be kind of a three-dimensional astrolab to show where the movements of the celestial bodies go, and it collapses down into a ring that then nobody would know you could do that with your ring.
I thought
really neat.
Yeah, I thought this was so cool. And then of course my brain when I was reading it was like, oh, I wonder if they could have used this for like navigation on a ship somehow, right? Because at first I was like, wow, 400 years ago, that's like forever ago. And then I was like, no, not really. It's the 1600s. It's not that far forever ago.
Yeah, we still play music from that time period, don't we?
Once a year at least. But yeah, really cool.
It's an example, again, of those incredible craftsmen and craftspeople who created things like this. It really doesn't look like it's, a big bulky thing, but it obviously has a lot of scientific value in terms of the ability to navigate or look at the heavens. I'm trying to understand exactly where this is. Is it in the British Museum? The article talks about the British Museum a couple of times, but it doesn't seem to clearly say that this is where this one is. Is it? Oh, hold on, let's have a look. Click. Reject all cookies. Get out of my way. Oh no, apparently the British Museum has some rings like the one in this article, but then again, it's not entirely clear where this one is. It's just incredibly cool. So go look at it.
All right, so next ring up on the list here is a Hackster.io example of, they call it a Tron-inspired smart device that they are using Raspberry Pi to power. And I have to say that as a home automation control system, it has a lot of Star Trek kind of characteristics, LCARS-y sort of an approach to this. What did you guys think about it?
Well, it's obviously the flying disc from Tron, right? That they used in the battles. And
yeah, they call it the Master Control Disc, which I think is quite fun. I enjoy the video where they're showing off like the various stages of creating this thing. I always wonder, whenever I see the circular display panels you can get, I always wonder what people use them for, and it's always cool to find interesting ways that they've done it, because as you know, most screens are square or rectangular, and then you have images that are square or rectangular, and if you then want to get to a circular type thing, you end up cropping off the corners rather than having something that works as a fully circular display from a geometry perspective. So I like the way that this has been done.
One thing I've always tried to figure out on circular displays, right? In square displays, your connectivity and your communication signals tend to be on these flat things on an edge going across. And then on Circle, I can imagine them actually going from the center and bridging out like a flower, which would provide you with very different looking refresh rates and other things. It would just be interesting to have an article somewhere on that, how circular displays are different. Because just chopping off the edges and cropping would, to me, seem very inefficient.
That's exactly what I'm describing. I think, yes, it is challenging based on the way that we've historically built technology and displays, because we've always gone for the kind of paper analog as our screen, right? But we'll come back to squares at some point in the near future. I think we'll be talking more about squares and cubes in this episode.
My last thought on this is if you think about the Mini, talking about the automotive experience and how Mini uses a major circular communication vehicle in the vehicle, also has a lot of that the square elements to it, like you were saying, guys. And this is very different in the sense that the blacking things out in the center allows for circular representation of how the information is portrayed to. So lots of neat design thinking around this particular one. Now we're going to switch to an especially bright idea, and I think Andy, you were. I don't remember who found this one. We've been talking about TVs on this show for more than one occasion, and we've been talking about Raspberry Pis and Michael's experiences with those for a long time here too. So if we combine the two, we could do something rather interesting now, can't we, Andy?
Yeah, this is not a new idea, I don't think. The smart TV, or the smart mirror, I should say, built from an old TV, because essentially for smart mirrors you need some kind of display behind a mirrored piece of glass. And this is really talking about how you could repurpose old ones. I've got some older screens that I could reuse now. I think the potentially, depending on the size, you're going to end up spending a lot of money just on the two-way glass. But yeah, the software Magic Mirror has been around now, I think, for 4 or 5 years at least, for building, which is really a set of scripts to configure a Raspberry Pi to act as a display that goes behind a sheet of glass like this. It's a fun one. I think it's become easier as the article indicates, where people upgrade their devices and then have leftover screens.
Yeah, I think last summer we actually did multiple trips to electronics recycling because we had all this old tech and pieces that I couldn't think of something to build with. And now I'm going, oh man, this would have been kind of cool. Right? It's I guess the one thing that I always wonder if there's enough difference between it of a true smart mirror like this, a mirror with stuff behind it, this two-way mirror, and just having a monitor with a camera on it that displays, right? So it's not a reflection, but it's a signal coming out.
Projection.
Yeah.
Right.
And is it really that much better to have the reflection?
Two-way glass. Yeah. Interesting point. I mean, you see a lot of people using their phones as a mirror, and when they do that, they're using the camera to project it right back.
Right.
So, good point, Michael.
I just had a quick look at the software repository for Magic Mirror 2, which is what this is based on, this article, and the first release was nearly 10 years ago, actually.
Oh.
And this was Magic Mirror 2, so this is the version 2 of it. So I don't know what happened with whether it forked from a previous project or what happened there. But yeah, it's been around for a while, this idea of the way that you can compose these information modules to go on the screen behind the glass. So Yeah, it's always been tempting and fun to think of having, converting the bathroom mirror into some kind of information display, but still be useful as a mirror. But then you need to get into needing electronics in wet rooms and things like that, and everything gets very complicated and worrying.
And I guess the one reason you might want to have an actual two-way mirror instead of a camera is with the camera, there's always a chance that there's a recording, and if you have it in your bathroom, I definitely can understand the social and emotional reasons why you would not want to use a camera.
Completely. And when you think too about all the other fun things that TVs can and do, you might want to be thinking, yeah, well, I did. But it was grammatically correct.
Yes, you did.
I'm glad the show has continued its highbrow
yes
trajectory.
All right, well, let's switch gears, guys. And we love talking about Minecraft on this show, as long-term listeners will know. The latest version of Minecraft now, we have an example of running on a light bulb. But it's a server. It's, you're not actually having a display on the light bulb and having it flash at you when you do something.
I was the one that found this, and I think it's brilliant and hilarious. However, there's a few things to note here. The real story here is that a lot of these smart light bulbs essentially have microcontroller processors in them that are capable of much more than just switching lights on and off and running a ring of LEDs, right? So this is running a RISC-V chip. So these particular ones have a machine which is the same capability as my Acorn RISC PC from back in the 90s, in terms of that used to be a 200 megahertz ARM chip. This is a 192 megahertz RISC-V core. It can run a tiny Minecraft server. It's not the proper Minecraft. It's something called Mewcraft, I believe, which is a extremely limited custom build
12 by 12 blocks that you can mine through.
And what that did actually for me was it sent me off down a path of investigating a load of other software that could be simplified and microfied onto microcontrollers instead of running them on small servers like a Raspberry Pi. That was just a thing I was doing to distract myself earlier in the week. But I do love this. The other complexity here is you can't just buy one of these light bulbs and flash Minecraft onto it and run Minecraft, right? This guy takes the thing apart, desolders or takes the chip out of the light bulb, and then solders it, traces onto it and does stuff like that to get it to run. I love the demonstration. I think it's a very, very cool demonstration of how capable a lot of these devices are, and how much, if you're thinking efficiently, you can reduce something like a Minecraft engine into a smaller device. But yeah. Also, of course, this light bulb was kind of spherical, and it's running a world made of blocks. If I can just very, very quickly go off on a tangent here. You had Ian Hughes ePred on a number of weeks ago, which I really enjoyed listening to, and he inspired me to go play some No Man's Sky, which I hadn't got into, and I had quite a good go at it on my Steam Deck for a while. And then I discovered another game as well, which is very No Man's Sky-ish, and I forget the name of it, but it's essentially Minecraft No Man's Sky multiplayer as well.
No Man's Square?
No, it's not. I forget the name of it. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, I was really excited by what Ian was saying, and we'll come back to this again in a moment, I think, because there's other stories coming up that are related to that.
Love it. So speaking of funny things, we have, and I've seen a version of this before, but I did not know that this is from France, at least, La Machine, which is a little box with a little joystick, if you will, that operates only on one axis, so it's either forwards or backwards. And you move that joystick forwards, and then the box itself will come and move it back, so that you get to try it again.
I do remember the original black box. I mean, not when it first came out. I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
But I remember in the, I'll say, early 70s, someone having something like this, like the black box. Because I was like, this story looks so familiar.
It's the Ultimate Machine, right? It does describe it as a new version of the Ultimate Machine designed by
Marvin Minsky.
Yeah. So this is a really colourful, fun one. It almost has a Teenage Engineering look and feel to it in the color, bright orange color or yellow color, and so on. It is fun. It's one of those boxes that closes itself when you flick the switch, which is funny. But it's a rebirth of something. In 1952, Marvin Minsky created this thing. Or created the idea of the thing, because it wasn't created until his own mentor Claude Shannon at Bell Labs created it, the actual prototype. So.
And it's funny how almost humanistic it is. I mean, obviously it is a machine. It's following an algorithm, but it plays with you just a little bit. So it isn't when you shift that gear forward that it immediately shifts it back. It kind of plays with you, makes a funny sound, and then off you go. So take a look in the show notes. You'll get a better sense of what's going on here. And we're going to shift gears again to some other machines. And over the last couple of days, there have been some really exciting announcements in the Steamosphere, the Steam universe. First of all, with the Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, and the Steam Controller. And I think the two of you are going to have lots to talk about, because this is all brand new to me without a Steam Deck.
So they've tried all of these things before. So they had a Steam Machine before. Yep. They've had the headset. They've done a VR headset before, and they have had a Steam controller before. It was that funky one with the circular touch controls, and they all. It feels like those were all rehearsals, and they were quite some time ago. The real rehearsal, though, has been the Steam Deck, because with the Steam Deck they were able to really just say we've got to a point now with Linux and Wine, the emulation layer, Proton, that enables Windows games to be able to be played on Linux, that they don't have to worry about license fees for any of that stuff. They can just go, yep, okay, we've got this huge catalog of games, because so many games get sold through the Steam storefront. You've now got a somewhat successful handheld gaming PC in the Steam Deck that, from what I've been reading, people are still preferring over the Xbox ROG Ally handheld that the Microsoft partnered with, and they've gone back around from there to say, well, you know what? Since we've proven that this works from an operating system hardware distribution perspective, let's have another go with all of the rest of it. The Steam Machine, which can be a cube, since we're going around talking about Minecraft.
Yep.
And it can also be a PC, because it's just a Linux box. So you can use it that way if you want to. It's a lot more powerful than the Steam Deck is. The Steam controller has been reborn with kind of, instead of with square touch spaces similar to the ones on the Steam Deck, otherwise very similar to the original one. And then along comes what was known as Project Decade, which was their code name for this headset. And the headset will let you stream from an existing Steam installation on a gaming PC or any other device that's running Steam. They already do Steam Link, and you can already essentially cast Steam games between devices, or it can be a wireless VR headset. I don't know that it will be as high quality, super duper, sharp and amazing as the Apple device. I don't know that it will necessarily have the same capabilities or same target audience as the Quest, but I know that they've already sewn up the PC gaming market, and that's by far the biggest gaming market. So this is This is huge. The one thing that they haven't done is said anything about pricing. They've got people excited by saying, here's a load of new hardware and it's all coming. And they'd already had a load of anticipation. The other element, we were talking before the show about Cory Doctorow's Enshittification book, and Steam is not heavily mentioned in there, but there are a lot of gaming marketplaces and the elements where the companies are controlling distribution and creaming profits off of those distributions. What's to say when and if Steam continues to grow and dominate this space that they won't just turn the screws on the indie game developers?
Yeah.
So there is the what if that I think we all should be aware of. But I must say, it's impressive. There's a lot of it. They are making a pre-announcement very confidently, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I was looking at the Steam frame, obviously, and spec-wise, according to the one article on PC Gamer, it seems to be a spec bump over the Quest 3, but there's no pricing information. And
I think it does. It doesn't only have black and white pass through though, or did I misunderstand something? So I wasn't quite sure about the mixed reality elements of it. I may have misread something.
Yeah,
so
and I didn't focus on that. It's a bump on the chip, a little bit better on the resolution per eye, possibly better on refresh rate, right? A bump up on memory, a bump up on storage, bump up on Wi-Fi, a little bit lighter, right? So it's all these things that imply a little bit better, except we have no pricing information.
There's an interesting element that they talk about in the marketing page, which is called foveated streaming. Yeah. So they claim that it optimizes detail where your eyes are looking.
What the Vision Pro does.
Yeah, I mean, this implies that this is a new thing. Yeah. So
and you're
it's
right,
quite
it
interesting
is mono
the way that these.
through.
Right, but let's see how they do.
No, I think it's great. One of the wonderful things is everybody. Not everybody, but every so often we have the "this is dead" story on whatever new tech you like. It doesn't matter what the tech is. There's this is a flop, this is dead. And we've had that with VR headsets every 6 months, it seems like. Here's a new one. It's not priced yet. If it's priced reasonably, I think it's maybe it's not dead yet until the next thing comes out, right? So
I was also impressed with they're going straight to Wi-Fi 7 as well for the connectivity. So that's it's kind of a mixed bag. So you got the monochrome pass through on the mixed reality element, but then you've got Wi-Fi 7 and a load of other
and
sort
what
of
is
very
2x2
advanced
on
things.
Wi-Fi 7? Does that mean it's actually running two networks?
I think it's to do with the what's it called, the MIMO thing, but I'd have to I would need to do some reading, I have to admit. I just got a Wi-Fi 7 client card for my framework, actually. So I now have one Wi-Fi 7 capable device in the house, but I don't have any Wi-Fi 6 or 7 networks to use it with.
So it would be really fast, maybe.
Maybe.
While you guys are chatting, I was just looking at other stories on the Steam machine, so the cube there, and it looks like this is a great modding opportunity for people to put decorations, skins, etc. on the hardware itself. And I saw a really fun Eurogamer article too about how was it designed, and the first particular point was around heat dissipation. And there's like this enormous fan structure in the back of it, but it isn't just limited to that. It's got inlets all over the place, so it can draw air through it, especially if you're putting it into a living room situation, which typically will have other components around it that are all throwing heat, and you don't want this thing to do its blue ring of death. Even though it's got some sort of like a kit kind of thing going on there with a blue bar of light. So lots of design efforts. It looks
for younger listeners. Michael is referring to Kit, the car from the original 1980s TV show Knight Rider.
And
who had
car,
a fun little...
A car is a thing with 4 wheels that has a big combustion engine in it and a computer.
There we are.
And David Hasselhoff was a person who did acting before he did singing.
And Germans love David Hasselhoff.
Oh my goodness!
Boy, that was a bad
gracious.
reference.
On the topic of the 1980s,
Yes.
or possibly even the 1970s, we have another piece of kit that
Yes.
has emerged on Kickstarter, which is the Vectrex Mini 1982 Vectrex Mini Vectrex console. This is a mini version of it, and a couple of cool things about the Vectrex. One of them is it had a portrait oriented screen, so your games were designed for that. And second of all, it had this very cool kind of vector graphics default wireframe way of doing things.
Well, I think I remember this device. Because I remember the plastic overlays that gave it color.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to a vintage games and computer console fair at the local university. 6 months ago. I wrote about it on my blog at the time, and there was a Vectrex there. They're incredibly difficult to maintain as vintage machines because the hardware is so specific, and the way that the screen works, as Michael was alluding to, it was a black and white vector-based graphics screen, and you had these overlays of kind of perspex that went over the front of them to give it color or give it a grid or give it something else related to the game, which is really cool. So this one, what have we got here? You can pay €25 for a vintage t-shirt. Or what's the actual kit?
It's a couple hundred euros, I thought.
So my starting price, it's €150 plus shipping.
Yeah.
They also have a control panel which gives you a little joystick as well, and of course there's a white edition. This is not something that I've jumped into, but it definitely looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I do not remember this at all. Although those color overlays, like you're saying, Michael, that's vaguely reminiscent here for me, but boy, what an interesting thing here to have. All right, so friends, we're gonna wind up here on one last game conversation. Michael, I'm gonna just throw it at you for this new currency, in-game currency.
Yeah, so this is World of Warcraft, and I was actually really excited that, and I think we even talked about on the show a while back, that the new Midnight expansion coming out sometime next year was enabling you to build a house. And it was one of my favorite things about Star Wars Galaxies way back in the day is these whole cities would show up on planets, and you could build houses, and you put all your loot in there and lay out things and have parties and all this stuff. And so World of Warcraft was enabling that, or is enabling that with their next expansion. And they just announced this past week, I think it was, that not only are you going to be able to get cool stuff from doing the things that you already do in World of Warcraft, which is great, and you'll be able to have your house and spec it out and blah, 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 all this good fun stuff. But, oh, by the way, we're going to add a new in-game currency that costs real currency in the real world that you can then buy additional things. Which, back to Cory Doctorow's and shitification, this is loot boxes by any other means, even though you can actually decide what you're buying with this stuff. And adding additional cost for the cool stuff so you can show off your cool thing in your house just rubbed me so wrong, because I was really excited about this except for that aspect. And I can just see how this goes bad so quickly.
So Michael, I'm just looking at the blog post from Blizzard on this. Do you get certain game buffs if you have like a complete set of like all the china that goes in your china cabinet in this game, or is it all decorative?
I don't have the beta yet, but you do get buffs if you have a full set of matching armor, as an example.
Right. But in the house is what I'm saying. And if you're going to buy this currency with real currency to then have an in-game experience, is it just for show?
I think it's just for show. And I mean, it's they've gotten so much. They keep going back and doing what do they call it? Time walking adventures, where you can zap back to a previous period in World of Warcraft and rerun old dungeons, but kind of spec'd up to the current level. And then that allows you to earn old, out-of-print, quote-unquote, gear, right? So
we're opening the Disney vaults. Got it.
Yeah. And so that just means you spend more time in-game, right? That's the currency. You're spending more in time game. You're running these old dungeons that you haven't run in 10, maybe 15 years, right? You're reliving nostalgia, and you eventually get enough in-game time currency to buy that really special mount that was only available if you beat the big boss of the epic end game adventure from one of the previous expansions. That's okay, but this just seems like a pure money grab. So,
well, that's an optimistic note to end the show on.
Yeah, well, the optimistic note is we are not a money grab kind of place, because you can get us for free.
If anybody's charging you to listen to the three of us, then you've got a problem.
You got schnookered. All right, well, with that, we'll just wish everyone a great next couple of few days, and you can join us right back here the next time on gamesatwork.biz. See ya.
See ya.
bye. You've been listening to GamesAtWork.biz, the podcast about gaming technology and play. We are part of the Blueberry Podcasting Network, and would like to thank the band Random Encounters for their song, Big Blue. You can follow us at our website at GamesAtWork.biz.